Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. This is a Nouse 3 Degree podcast. I am Gio and celebrating my second podcast ever. So it's really been exciting, and I want to thank everybody that stopped, commented, and listened to the first podcast I did. So it was a real big honor, and I really felt very appreciated, and also your comments as well too. So to get things started, I like to start by thanking everybody that had given me advice and told me some things I was doing. Like one little thing I was doing in the first podcast was I was kind of like rushing and trying to get a point in and trying to tuck in. I was coming off too much like an auction speaker. So thank you for that advice. I did listen to it, and I guess to start off things, you learn from your mistakes, by seeing, watching, and get opinions. But sometimes we really don't do that, especially when it comes to our strength or even comes to our weaknesses as well too. We tend to get a little defensive, or I guess maybe because it's learned behavior of growing up, especially we came from a culture that, just seems to be more criticizing 24/7 than anything else. However, nobody's perfect. So, and of course, I tend to take that love that came from criticism, that came from attention, came from advice, even though it was constant, that someone was telling you, even though that not a positive thing came from that criticism, in a sense where, hey, you know what, you did bad, but you're a good boy, and I love what you're doing, or you're a good girl, you're very positive, you help out. And it's love in general, where people tell you because they love you, they want you to be better. So, but sometimes we need to stop. We need to stop and see what we're doing, what we're listening to, how we approach people, to our workers, employees, family, friends, and strangers. Sometimes we need to see that. And for me, listening to myself, it was like I must have heard my own podcast for maybe like 5, 6 times, and not in a sense of like, oh, I'm so full of myself, or, oh, you know what, I love my voice. It was just listening to all the things. It's like, wow, this is the way I sound. This is the way I speak. This is the way people hear me. And it was a different observation, different experience. So, it's like you always have that mental Photoshop picture of yourself until you see a picture and you're like, wait a minute, and we kind of do that with ourselves and our appearance, our voice, and our actions. So that's something to kind of take note on, the mental note, in a sense where sometimes we can learn a lot of things just by seeing ourselves, not others. So that's a good thing. That's a good point to make. Another thing for this week I wanted to bring up I was talking to a friend of mine, Henry Juan, and we're chatting and everything, and he brought up a good point that he felt like, he just kind of forgot about. Well, not forgot, but we were talking, and he was mentioning how, when I was in the hospital, I mentioned in the first podcast, and he, just felt like he apologized because he never knew about it. I told him, well, I didn't really, it was kind of almost 8, 9 years ago. I mean, it's not your fault. I mean, you're a busy person, but something he said was that that's no excuse. We should always make time. We should always make time, especially for the things we love, things we want to do, and also the people that really there to help us and listen, and it was weird because I kind of took it in the sense of like, hey, you're busy, family first, work, important things. But in a way I kind of put myself in his shoes, thinking, hey, you know what, he's right. There's always time for everything, and we can always make time for everything, and we should make time to do what we love to do. So even though if it's just 5, 10 minutes, even though if you and your significant other, wife, husband, boyfriend, whatever, etc., have a very busy schedule, you should always make at least 5, 10 minutes to yourselves where it's just no kids, no nobody, just you yourselves, no TV, no radio, no nothing, just for you to talk and everything. Because that small time where a busy person makes time for someone, something, or someone, that is priceless to me. So, and I think it's a very, very beautiful act of love. Little things in the news. Apparently, another celebrity Thank God that hopefully not the symptoms don't progress and get critical. But as almost had a face of death as to with drug abuse and some things I've been seeing on some posts and people have been putting up that again, look, it can be controlled, and like, no, it's because there's no excuse, and like, we should really be careful when we say things like that. And honestly, it's not that I'm trying to be passive, and yes, everybody does have a choice, but at the same time we need to understand that not everybody is Wolverine. Not everybody is strong and can recover. Some people can recover some things like, amazingly, that could take me or you almost years to recover, and but yet they could be weak on some things. And I don't know, one thing I like to say is that I think us as being as conscious individuals that we should be very careful what we say, because we don't want to put up that people are weak or people don't know or people can't control themselves. Is that sometimes we need to put ourselves in the other person's shoes and know that depression is not an emotional reaction. Depression is a medical label, and that term is put on somebody who cannot control themselves. I mean, this usually gets put on someone who has gone through trauma in their life, especially a lot of it. When it comes to drug abuse and suicide, I mean, regardless, and yes, I do know there's some people that they have the knowledge, they've been through it. All they have to do is choose to take that right step. But we need to always be conscious that, what, at the same time, we can't save the whole world, and we can give the best advice. And you know what? Sometimes people just have to learn the hard way. And sometimes I have a friend of mine who's a mental health coordinator, and she's told me some stories of amazing people that she's helped and that have gone to live better lives, and others that they got up and boom, they went back to what they did, and unfortunately they lost their battle. So we all have our own battles, and regardless of what it is, we shouldn't be egotistical and saying, oh yeah, you know what, they can do it. No, we need to be very careful, because regardless of who's strong or who's not or what they're going through, everybody has a battle they're facing, they're dealing with. And regardless of us, we should be one and not doing put downs, but pick up, because we're supposed to pick up our race, our culture, because I believe in bettering my people. My question to them is, what do they believe in? So, and usually I see when someone's very negative like that, usually tend to find that maybe they've dealt with it themselves, and really they're not angry at those that are suffering through it, more at themselves, because they feel that was a shameful time in their life. And regardless of what it is, where we did bad or good or disgusting or we lost control, we should never have that appearance or perspective and let it affect our way of thinking. We had during the week, I had an incident at work where a coworker was choking on some food she was eating, and thank God that she was there with another coworker. And since she was kind of a voluptuous woman, she had a hard time wrapping her hands around her to give her the Heimlich maneuver, but she still had called for help and was there telling her to cough up. And thank God that she had spit out the food that she was choking on, and it was a real great experience for her, even though she was shaking and everything. But that moment where that someone, even though they couldn't do the task, even though they were challenged, they still kept on going. And honestly, you always know the true spirit of a person when things go wrong, when the ship's on fire, when the worst things are happening left and right, and they're still there to help and everything. I mean, that was a true. I mean, she was honored and given an award by me personally. So I was very proud of her, and I thought that was very amazing. And I'm pretty sure that we set the message out that, hey, you know what, I'm going beyond the call of duty to help out one who's in need of help, especially in an emergency situation such as that, is a very honorable. So that's something I would like to mention. And also, one topic I'd like to talk about, in less than 13 hours, I will be 36 years old. So Wow, I mean, I really don't let the age factor get to me. I mean, I personally feel that I'm getting better with age. And even though that I'm not as physically agile or strong or my performance ability is not as powerful like it used to be, but still I like the fact that my spiritual mentality is growing. It's I have more discipline for myself, and some things I look back at this year. I mean, it was majority was very challenging. I dealt with a lot of mental challenges this year, and some things I learned I like to talk about is that what I learned from this year is to do things better. Like what you can do, you can better it little by little. Go ahead and do it. Especially if it brings out the best in you. If it's the greatest for you, you should always do it better. Another thing I learned this year was I learned a lot about recovery for myself, not to go back to drinking, not to go back to smoking, not to go back to doing drugs or any ill things or have an addiction or overabundance of something to cope from the pain. I mean, I was very proud of myself because this year was very challenging in so many ways, and but I love that even though I was getting knocked down, I was still getting back up. You know what? I'm not quitting. I've come this far. I'm too big to fail. Everybody looks at me to see how to act, what to do, what to say, how to be. I can't let them down. And it was a very, very positive reaction to an outcome that should have been negative, but I turned it around. And sometimes you can do it. Sometimes you can change your own outcome if you choose to. And sometimes I know it doesn't feel fair, but if you really think about it, you only have you and you only. No one cares for you as much as your own. And once we decide to give up on ourselves, that's when we give up on everybody else. Because once we start losing self-respect, self-care, the importance of how the positive perception of how people look at us, then we're sending the message out that, you know what, you shouldn't care either. And it's another way of looking at it. I also learned something this year: never take anything personal, even though if it is personal. Some people just don't have that discipline, and this year was a lot of hurt, but a lot of good things as well too. It was good things, and unfortunately, I started off a program, and it hit up great. It was beautiful, beautiful design. Everything just fell into place and everything. And unfortunately, the people I had joined it with and started off, unfortunately, had different plans, and unfortunately, I kind of felt like I was more of I was just there just to be there rather there as, because I was one of the main coordinators of it. But as much as it hurt me to do, sometimes when it comes to something like that, you know, I could have just dissolved it and you know what? It doesn't exist no more. However, I saw that a lot of people were very involved with it and they loved it. And honestly, I just couldn't do that. And even though it's the second incident of something similar like that with the same subject that I did when I was 18, and it hurt to do, but sometimes it's good just to step down, because sometimes you let your anger, your hurt get to you. Oh yeah, you know what? This doesn't exist no more. But you got to the ones that hurt you, but in reality, you're gonna lead the chain reaction. But not only to, it's gonna react to 8 others. And honestly, I just couldn't do that. So, but still, even though that things didn't end up great, I still wish them well. I still wish for the program to be the best, and I try not to be egotistical, saying that, oh, I started that, and oh, look at me, it started because of me. No, 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 no. We did it, and it was a great idea. And hey, there's going to be more great ideas. There's going to be more opportunities, and there's going to be more times to do different things. And but yeah, that's something that I learned. I learned a little bit more this year. Never take anything personal. Also, when someone's angry as well, people. I tend to see that anger can be a cry for help. Anger can and also be, believe it or not, anger can be a form of love as well too. Because in the relationships, when there's anger, it's because there's love. There's disappointment. There's emotional attachment to it. And I knew when my first marriage was over, when the first wife was just literally, oh yeah, you can go out, you can do this, you should do this, you should go out, you should go with the concerts, you should go this, and I was like, and it was weird because like I was kind of like, okay, I haven't planned anything yet, but you're telling me to go, but didn't really think of it at that time because of my, I was still, I was still in a traumatic state at that time, and I was still very young, and I was just noticing that, okay, this person always argues when I go out, go to concerts and everything, and yet now it's like, yeah, and then not even a couple of weeks later, found out that, well, she was kind of seeing somebody, so. And that's when the first time, that's when I noticed my marriage was over, when they don't want you to be there no more. They're like, oh yeah, there's excuses for you. Oh yeah, go ahead. It's like, hey, one thing's having a vacation. Another thing, hey, you need a break too. It's like what I do with my wife as well too. Hey, you know what? Go ahead, go out. You need time to recharge. You need time to have fun as well too. You do a lot. Go ahead and have time. So, but anger can be a cry for help. Anger can be love in another form. We just need to get away from the line of fire and see it from a different angle. And trust me, you'd be surprised and what you can what you can learn from someone just by commenting or just listening. Just shut up. Don't say a damn thing. Sit down and listen. Give the speaker the floor. Let them say what they want to say. Even though if it hurts, even though if you feel that you have to jump in defense, don't do that. Don't do what I like to call verbal stabs, where you go, oh, it's because you did this. Oh, no, 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 you're forgetting. No, no, no. Let them talk, let them vent. And sometimes you'll be surprised. Sometimes by them talking on their own and you listening, they calm down or they answer their own question or they say, you know what? This is not fair. I shouldn't be like this with you. And sometimes, you know what? Silence can be the biggest positive response you can give. You'll be surprised. Give it a try. Trust me. Sometimes you'll do miracles just by doing that. And last thing I like to talk about is ego. I do see where a lot of people let their ego get the best of themselves. Now, the ego is a part of the consciousness. Now, it does make us. The importance of our self-importance, what makes us us, it's normal. And even though ego has always been put in a negative perception, just like karma. Karma's always used for vengeance in the sense, oh, karma's going to hit you. We never use it in a positive sense. You know what? The good you're going to give is going to get you back. Even though you're doing bad, the little good you did will help you change that. We never turn it around and say it that way because the words we speak are like magic, like our spells, our prana, like they in yoga, that voice, that power, that resonating chant that we say. I'm pretty sure for some of you who are, well, most of you who are or Hispanic, you see that. I'm pretty sure you felt that how when cuss words said in Spanish are more powerful and hard hitting than when they're in English. So that's something you should really kind of pay attention to. And a statement I always say is an overabundance of your ego is a mind killer. Yes, it's an addiction. Too much of anything can be bad for you and will be bad for you. And I do see that as a real mind killer in so many aspects, when it comes to parenting, when it comes to business, when it comes to with friends or with co-workers. Yeah, it's just people just want to feel important, and it's not that they're doing it because they're self-arrogant. Sometimes they're just doing it because they just want to feel special. They just want to feel that, hey, I'm something, and that's why as a supervisor, that's why I always go to my employees, hey, you know what? I'm not just looking at the bad. I'm looking at the good. I saw what you did over there. You helped out when you didn't have to. I like that. Keep up the good work. That's a true sign of a true leader. And, I like I say, I don't do put downs. I do pickups because I want them to be better. And this is a relationship that we should only have at work, but we should have to our families, our friends. But more importantly, this is a relationship we should have to ourselves, especially when we're criticizing ourselves or we're saying to ourselves, you didn't have to do that. You could have done it better. That sounds better than you're such an idiot, or you start slapping yourself, or you're biting yourself, and you're just no. Remember, self-importance, is self-important. Do not abuse, especially self-abuse yourself. Because if you abuse yourself, it's only a matter of time until you start abusing everybody else. Don't let bad habits get the best of you. Don't let negativity dominate you. And remember, no matter what, at the end of the day, it's you. I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time to hear this. And hopefully in the coming weeks, for those of you that I've been talking to and I've been saying, hey, you know what? We'll be planning. I am gonna start getting some equipment, and hopefully, I did talk to the library, and they said that they were more than happy if I could share one of the private rooms, uh, we can so we can meet there. So in the coming months, guys, I will be sending y'all a message so we can schedule it. And right now, I'm making the podcast once a week, which I really don't have a problem with. Just 18, or in this case, in this one, that's almost like 20 minutes. Sorry, long. That'd be great, however, but we'll just let it kick off. So thank you for hearing, guys. Have a great week, and no matter what, chin up and make sure you stay cool and get a lot of sunblock, because, man, that heat is very crazy. Have a good one, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.